Hi again, students, and a big hello to everyone watching around the Philippines. I am Teacher Mike, your Technology and Livelihood Education teacher. In today's episode, we will identify and familiarize ourselves with the 4 basic computer operations. So bring out your pen and paper and join me as we build your knowledge towards a better future, one skill at a time. Welcome to TLE 9.
Let us study TLE. Let us study, come with me. All of the knowledge and all of the skills will help you to be life ready. Will help you to be life ready.
Students, my question for you today is, do you know how computers work? You might respond with something like this, by simply turning on your computer and waiting for it to load. Then start working on it, and when you are done, press on the shutdown button, and that's it. Just like now when you are watching us on your screen and listening to us on the radio. Do you have any idea what is going on inside the computer machine? Today, we will be discussing the 4 basic operations of a computer system. We have the input unit, processing, storage, and output unit. Let's start with the input. As smart as computers are, they still need input from humans to provide data to process and to tell them what to do. Computers today accept input from a variety of devices. The 2 you're probably most familiar with include the keyboard and the mouse. Almost all modern computers have these devices. Other common input devices I'm sure you are familiar with are scanners, microphones, and webcams. Students, I have another question. Do you still remember which part is considered as the brain of the computer? Correct! That is the CPU, or the Central Processing Unit. Processing is done inside a computer in an area called the Central Processing Unit, or CPU. Processing is the conversion of input to output. The Central Processing Unit, or CPU, is the principal part of any digital computer system, generally composed of the main memory, control unit, and arithmetic logic unit. In modern computers, the CPU is contained in an integrated circuit chip called the microprocessor. Being the brain of the computer, the CPU is where processes such as calculating, sorting, and searching take place. Whatever is done in our computers, such as checking emails, playing games, and doing homework, it is the CPU that processes the data we use. Under the Central Processing Unit, we have 2 essential units here, and these are the Control Unit, or the CU, and the Arithmetic Logical Unit, or the ALU. The Control Unit controls the flow of data within the system. The Control Unit is the processor component that directs and coordinates most of the computer's operations. The Control Unit has a role much like a traffic police. It determines which instruction is executed next, and it interprets each instruction issued by a program and initiate the appropriate action to carry out the instruction. The Arithmetic and Logic Unit, or ALU, is where the CPU performs the arithmetic and logic operations. Every task that your computer carries out is completed here. Even typing into a word processor involves adding binary digits to the file and then calculating which pixels on the screen should change so that you can see the characters. Comparison operations involve comparing one data item with another to determine whether the first item is more significant than, equal to, or less than the other object. For example, the arithmetic part deals with a calculation like 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. And the logic part, which deals with any logical comparison, like 2 is greater than 1. Do you sometimes complain that your computer is slow? Maybe it has something to do with your Central Processing Unit. There are 3 main factors that affect how the CPU carries out instructions. First is the clock speed that is measured by hertz. It is measured in cycles per second and 1 cycle per second is known as 1 Hz. This means that a CPU with a clock speed of 2 GHz can carry out 2,000 million or 2 billion cycles per second. For example, the latest Intel Core i5 processors that we use today come in multiple speeds ranging from 1.9 GHz up to 4 GHz. That is considered really fast. Just remember, the higher the clock speed a CPU has, the faster it can process instructions. Next, we have the cores. A CPU is traditionally made up of processors with single core. A CPU with 2 cores called a dual-core processor is like having 2 processors in one. A dual-core processor can fetch and execute 2 instructions simultaneously. It takes a single-core processor to fetch and execute just 1 instruction. A quad-core processor has 4 cores and can carry out even more instructions in the same period. Lastly, we have the cache. This is a tiny block of memory built right into the processor. This is used to store often used data or instructions. The bigger the cache is, the more quickly commonly used instructions and data can be brought into the processor and used. Just remember, they don't come cheap. The higher the processor, the more expensive it is. But by knowing some of the necessary specifications, this could help you choose which computer to buy and why other computers are cheaper or more expensive than the others. I'm sure you remember this from our previous episodes. The memory unit consists of the RAM, or random access memory, sometimes referred to as the primary or main memory. Unlike a hard drive or secondary memory, this memory is fast and directly accessible by the CPU. As mentioned, RAM is short for random access memory. While it might sound mysterious, RAM is one of the most fundamental computing elements. RAM is the super fast and temporary data storage space that a computer needs to access right now or in the next few moments. RAM temporarily stores data and goes away when the power is turned off. It is very fast, which makes it ideal for things that a computer is actively working on, such as applications currently running, for example, the web browsers in which you are reading a blog or an article, and the data those applications work with. Because of its volatility, RAM can't store permanent data. RAM can be compared to a person's short-term memory and a hard disk drive to a person's long-term memory. Short-term memory is focused on the immediate work but can only keep a limited number of facts in a view at any one time. An example of a short-term memory is like remembering what you had for breakfast yesterday. When a person's short-term memory fills up, it can be refreshed with facts stored in the brain's long-term memory, like your first airplane ride. I even remember what my teacher told us in class when I was in grade 7. The first thing you must do in the morning when you wake up is to look at yourself in front of the mirror, greet yourself good morning, and smile. It is so uplifting that until now I'm doing it to brighten up my mood, and it's such a great way to start my busy day. And lastly, we have the output unit. This is the process of producing useful information or results for the user, such as a printed report or a visual display. It is the display or output of results after it's been processed. The output is the exact opposite of the input. The output is the function that allows a computer to display information from the system for the user. This can be accomplished through the monitor, printer, and speakers. Let us put these operations into a practical form. For example, if you want to write an essay on a computer, you first click on the Microsoft Word program using the mouse and type your essay in the Word program using a keyboard. Then while typing, you can modify the font style and size, change the color, add pictures, and much more. And when it's finished, you then print it using a printer and save it on your hard disk drive for future use. Here, the mouse and keyboard are examples of the inputs which you use to enter data into the computer. The CPU is the processing unit that applies the changes you make to the document, and the printer is the output unit through which you obtain the result of the data you made earlier to the computer. And the storage is where you save it on your hard disk drive for future use. Students, let us now have a short review based on our topic. Well, let's begin. Number 1. Under the processing unit, the clock speed is measured by what? The correct answer is letter B, hertz. Number 2. Which part of the processing unit is responsible for the direction and coordination of most computer operations? It's like the traffic police. The correct answer is letter D, control unit. Number 3. Which of the following is considered an input device? The correct answer is letter D, all of the above. Number 4. Which memory is considered temporary storage? The correct answer is letter B, random access memory. Number 5. Which part of the computer is considered as the brain of the computer? The correct answer is letter C, central processing unit. Number 6. This contains all the arithmetic and logical operations in the CPU. The correct answer is letter A, ALU, or arithmetic logic unit. Number 7. The fastest and the closest storage device to CPU is? The correct answer is letter D, cache. Number 8. This allows a computer to display information. The correct answer is letter B, output unit. Number 9. Which of the following is not an input unit device? The correct answer is letter C, projector. And lastly, number 10. A type of memory that is connected to the CPU which stores the most frequently or often used data or instructions. The correct answer is letter C, cache. Students, how many scores did you get? I'm sure you did well and got high points, and because of that, congratulations. If not, do not worry because you can always watch this or our previous episodes on our official DepEd TV YouTube channel posted on the screen. In today's lesson, I would like to leave you with this question. How could we integrate the computer basic operations in our everyday lives? Can you give me some examples? Or are you still finding it confusing? Do not worry. To give you an idea, here's what some of my techie friends have to say.
Good day, I am John Ponce Santiago from Schools Division of Bulacan, and now since I am working as a teacher broadcaster, I can relate this IPO in my daily life, which is input, the pre-production, which includes script writing, and the preparation of our equipment. The process is the production itself, the shooting day, which includes the video and audio recording, and the output is the episode itself where you can watch right on your TV screen. Simply, that's how I relate IPO as a teacher broadcaster.
Hi, my name is Sir John David Martin, a teacher broadcaster from San Pedro National High School, Hagonoy, Bulacan. I am actually applying the process of IPO in my everyday life. For example, in cooking. Let's say I'm going to cook spaghetti. So the input there are the ingredients that we need. For example, the pasta, the sauce, or the meat, or anything that we need to cook spaghetti. The process itself is the cooking. And right after cooking, we already have the output, and that's the dish, the spaghetti.
I'm Arjit Telia, teacher broadcaster from Noveleta National High School. I apply IPO in my daily life whenever I plan. So for me, the inputs are the goals that I want to accomplish throughout the day. the process are doing the things that I want to do in line with those goals, and at the same time making sure that I'm following up on each of them. And the output is finally accomplishing those goals and plans that I made earlier in the day.
Students, let me know your answers. Post it on our social media or Facebook page, www.facebook.com/TLE with Teacher Mike. You can post a video or just a message along with your name and your school. Let your creativity flow. And before you post it, do not forget to use the hashtag TLE with Teacher Mike. Students, I am so looking forward to your answers. Students, I do hope that you learned from our topic today. I am Teacher Mike reminding you to never regret a day in your life. Good days give happiness, bad days give experience, worst days give lessons, and the best days give memories. Thank you for watching DepEd TV, and I'll see you next time.